Oh, really? This is
I was gonna say no. So let's go here.
Good, just start. Yeah, I talk fast, so if I start talking, I'm from New York. If I start talking too fast, let me know if I'll slow down. Some people say I talk faster. I'm not gonna tell you last time, the first one I did, I talked so fast, we finished, I'm not gonna tell you how fast I finished, you might want me to finish that fast, but we finished in an extremely short amount of time, because I buzzed right through, and then that's even after we had a discussion, you still were out here, like, we're pretty fast, so if I'm talking too fast, ask me to slow down, I'll slow down for you. But again, I'm Dwayne Davis, I'm originally from New York. Woo-hoo. There you go. I moved here in '06, I've been at Dunbar for the same school for the past 10 years. I also coached football at Wharton High School. And when I was in New York, I had a private practice. And as a mental health therapist, psychotherapist, I had practice. I did individual and family therapy, couples counseling, and had a contract with probation. So I worked with anybody who was on probation for a violent offense. They would come see me for therapy. I was one of the other therapists they contracted out. So I had people with assault, attempted murder, assault, anything that had to do with a violent offense. At the same time, I worked in Syracuse, upstate New York, with the alternative school. So anybody who went to alternative school and they felt needed counseling, I would go there, which is kind of hectic because say if me and someone got into a fight in school, the first place they sent us was alternative school. So me and the same person at the same school again, guess what we did? We fought again. So it was just a chaotic environment, but I was able to meet with some kids and learn some things. So I was in the Army for 10 years, and when I got out of the Army, that's when I started working as a therapist. And also I was a consultant for traumatic brain injury. So I also worked with individuals who had TBI, traumatic brain injury, and I also helped develop plans and goals and had set them up to recover. And also that has to do a lot with, it also affects kids with ADHD. I'll get into that a little bit later. Now again, this is my point of view. Nothing I say it's based on facts and my history together. So it's my opinion. So it's nothing written in stone. This isn't the main guideline. So I know we've all dealt with ADHD. We've all had different things we use. So my thing is this is another tool for your toolbox. And I try to say, be an eclectic thinker. See what you can grab from somebody else and try and maybe add it to what you didn't know, or maybe enhance something you're already doing. Now, I used to watch TV a lot when I was young. I still do, but there was a show called Mag TV. And they had an episode where they did a Schoolhouse Rock episode of ADHD. And I thought it was pretty funny because they go into some of the meds and stuff like that they do, and I'm going to share that with you real quick before we get into it. came out, I was working as a mental health therapist. And I wasn't one that's not really focused on, I wasn't really a big guy at medication because as a therapist, we weren't big on pushing our meds in school. It wasn't until I met some students, wasn't like I became a counselor, that figured out, working with kids in school, realized that some kids may need it, some kids don't. But at one time, I really was anti-meds until I figured out the kids needed to sit, we needed help sitting still and focusing. So I'm still not 100% on meds, but when I came out, I thought it was pretty funny. Anyway, the cause of ADHD, there's no exact cause, like I said, there's no recipe. There's no, if you do A, you do B, that all of a sudden, now your kid's gonna come out with ADHD. Like, they're still trying to figure out exactly why do kids have ADHD and why some kids don't. Well, my smoking and drinking and doing drugs during pregnancy, of course, that will alter the pregnancy, so you don't know how the kids react. Complicated, stressful pregnancies. Sustained stress impacts the fetus brain development, especially the wiring of the brain. There's certain trimesters of when a woman's pregnant or when the kid's brain is developing. And if you have a very argumentative, stressful, maybe finances, relationships, pregnancy, which a lot of low-income moms have, that rewires the kid's brain. So as they're developing, the stress and the yelling and the screaming from maybe what you're going through and affects the baby and the wiring. There's certain trimesters where the baby's brain is growing, the child's brain growing, that is being wired. So if you have a nice, peaceful, happy pregnancy and everything's going great, the wiring's gonna be a little bit different. As if you're yelling, because think about it, every time you scream or you get upset, there's chemicals that release. Same as when you're happy after you work out and feel good, because there's certain dopamines that are released that make you feel good. Same thing when you're pregnant, when you're stressed out and yelling and screaming, you're rewiring that baby's brain. That baby's brain is learning how to deal with stress. So now the baby's brain is stressed out and it's wiring differently. So that could be one of the symptoms of, one of the causes of ADHD. Traumatic brain injury. I said frontal lobe, when I used to be a consultant, I think the front part of your brain that controls impulses and judgment, that gets affected. If you have an impact to it. I had a cousin who used to jump over these steps, and he tripped and hit his head on the steps. Head got that big, he's probably like 8 years old, 7, 8 years old. Then after that, years later, we noticed his mom was more aggressive, more angry, more like impulsiveness. So he got upset, he just reacted on it. And he changed when he was little, but we didn't know. So as I got older, when I learned about TBI, I realized, oh, he had a traumatic brain injury. So some kids you can even result who are aggressive and really angry all the time. If it's not something environmental, sometimes it could be something that happened. Maybe when they were younger, they were dropped. Or maybe they got hit real hard. And then a lot of kids back then we didn't think about concussions like we think about now. So somebody that has a traumatic brain injury, and that affects the way your judgment and your impulse, and that also affects your behavior. So a lot of people don't realize that TBI, that definitely can affect, it can change a kid's personality. We have a kid in my school now, a TV fell on his face when he was 5. So, and he was messed up for a while. I think he might even been in a coma for about a month or so, but even the mom said that from his makeup from when he was 1 to 5 to now that he's 6, 7, 8, it's totally, like he came out of it a totally different kid. Because it impacted the frontal lobe, it damaged some stuff, and it changed the rewiring of his brain. So now he is ADHD. He's really hyper, he's aggressive, he's angry, and a lot of things to cope with, trying to calm him down. Another thing is chemical imbalance. The reason why meds work for some kids because they have low dopamine. So the low dopamine, that's why the amphetamines help counter and balance it off. That's why they say some kids might need meds. And genetic. So you could have had a great pregnancy, everything is perfect, kid never happened, but if you have ADHD, sometimes you can pass it down to your child. So sometimes it can be genetic. Now, what is ADHD? We're going to go through it real quick. Now, there's several symptoms that have to combine together. As a therapist, before we diagnose somebody with ADHD, we'd have to have all these different things combined together. Just because the kid can't sit still, he's not an automatic ADHD. Because the kid's hyper, doesn't matter make him automatic ADHD. It's usually on the onset before age 12. You don't diagnose too many 15, 16-year-olds with ADHD unless something happened they were missed when they were younger. But usually it happens before age 12. Several symptoms that are present in 2 or more settings. So if it's just at home, then that's not ADHD. If it's just at school, it's not ADHD. If it happens at both, but he's the same big kid here or anywhere you put him, then that's a symptom he's ever ADHD. I have one little girl where the mom tells me she's horrible, she's a mess, she's angry, she yells and screams, but at school, all day long she's a perfect angel. Does everything right, grades are right, follows directions, but at home for some reason, she doesn't respect mom. Mom was thinking it was ADHD. But it says if it happens at home, and it's an environment or something at home, there's a structure different that she's not responding to you. So we're trying not to diagnose kids who don't have ADHD. Now the inattention part. When kids fail to give close attention to details or make careless mistakes, difficulty sustaining attention, often loses things necessary for tasks or activities, school assignments is often easily distracted, forgetful. Now, when someone has had a hard for ADHD, when somebody has a hard time paying attention, they get distracted easily. So what happens, that's not the hyper part, that's just I have a hard time paying attention. I have a hard time focusing. So I'm easily distracted. That's like, if you ever seen this commercial where it's a guy here standing in his shirt, and the stain's always talking to guys. The guy's trying to pay attention to the guy, but the stain on the shirt distracting him. Yeah. Same thing, if I have a kid with ADHD, there's a stain on my shirt. It's almost like OCD. OCD kid, we worried about cleaning it off to make my shirt even. An ADHD kid is like, how do you get the stain? Does he know it's there? When is he gonna clean it? What does he do? So that's why it gets this distraction. Because if I'm teaching, not worried about the stain, and he's trying to worry about where it came from, what kind of shape, looks like a steak. So they're focused on everything else. So that's the same thing happened with this guy. If you watch this, I want you to see what it's like. If I'm trying to learn as an ADHD student, look how difficult it is.
A organized person, somebody who does not need details. I'm actually very, very good. I surpassed all my goals in the biggest position. By a job, my personality surpassed their own goals.
Like you see, so like I have ADHD, and I'm trying to pay attention. That's what it's like for me. So if I'm looking at you with a stain, or I'm looking at something new on your desk that wasn't there yesterday, I'm wondering where did she get that from? What is she gonna do with it? Am I gonna be able to hold it? Is she gonna pass it on to class? So sometimes you might have to address the monkey room to get it. Hey, I have this as new, and I'm gonna pass it around later. Or the stain I was eating and I spilled it. I know it's there. I'm gonna clean it later. Sometimes there's something new in the classroom for a kid with ADHD, or a fly buzzing around the classroom. You have to stop and address. Yeah, there's a fly came through the door and it's flying around. I know how to get it out. So this way they know you know it's there. They know that it's been addressed. Or you might have to stop and try to kill it or try to get out of the classroom just so they're not distracted. But that's what it is. So it's not like they don't want to learn. They get distracted, so they're not focused. And then when you set a bunch of directions, now they're like, what'd you say? Now you're upset. Or the teacher's upset, they have to repeat it. So that's what it is. So when they're easily distracted, that's what it looks like. Now, if we go back to these again, so who does this sound like? Fail to give directions, difficult staying attention, doesn't seem to listen, losing things, easily distracted. So sometimes we get sidetracked. That can sound like an ugly. It sounds like a child at work, your child or your coworker. I mean, so that's why we can't base it on solely one thing. Because like I said, if you read this sounds like any guy or any kid at home who doesn't want to do what the parents tell them to do. Now the hyperactivity part, often fidgets with hands and feet, difficulty standing still, paying attention quietly, on the go, talks excessively. So somebody who's hyperactive, they're constantly moving. So that's why when I start telling teacher, hey listen, we got a kid coming in and he's ADHD, he's not on meds, and then I start explaining the 504, I see them zone out because this is what they're thinking. They're thinking this kid's gonna walk in the classroom like this. That's all it's focused on. Okay, I have my classroom set. Now I got to key. This is my classroom. That's that teacher's response. And that's that teacher's response. So when I'm talking to her, explaining what's going on, she's already zoned out, thinking about how this one kid's going to disrupt my whole class. Now, the impulsivity part. Often blurts out answers, has difficulty with concern, interrupts, and usually acts without thinking. Someone, when you start asking the question, all of a sudden, boom, I already know the answer, but you haven't even answered the question. They're saying yes, and the answer is completely wrong. Usually they're impulsive, so they're not thinking about waiting turns. They're not thinking about your feelings. They just want to be first, so they just want to be next, but they want to try the activity. So it's not like they're being inconsiderate on purpose. They're just impulsive. So that comes with the other teaching part. I'll get into that later, but you have to teach the kid about ADHD. The same thing often interrupts others, usually acts without thinking. Now, the impulsivity part, they have an impulsive thought. It's like we all have them. Like, I want that, punch him or her, touch it, I wonder if I can break it. Kids think, I wonder if I can break this. We have an impulsive part. Somebody cuts me off impulsively, I want to react. I want to yell, scream, I want to do something, but we have a filter that thinks out the process. So without ADHD, we have a filter. That filter is what happens next. I know if I punch this guy, that I can either go to jail, or I might get beat up, or what happens. So we always think about what happens next. There's a reaction. So without ADHD, you have a filter. You think of the thought comes into your head, you wait, you filter it out, then you react accordingly. ADHD kids have the same thing. They have a filter, but they skip the filter and they go straight to reaction. So you step on my foot, my first thought, punch you in the chest because you stepped on my foot and it hurt. We have this kid, he's real small, probably about 3rd grade. We have a big 5th grader. Kid stepped on his foot, the 3rd grader punched him in the chest, even though he knows this kid could pick him up by the neck and just choke him. But he's the kid look at him and go, why would you punch him? He goes, he stepped on my foot. You know how big he is? He goes, I don't care, he stepped on my foot. Because that first thing is he didn't say, hey, let me find out what happened. Was it an accident? Did somebody push him into me? Let me tell the teacher. He skipped the filter and went straight to reaction. That's why with us, with us counselors, we have to try and help them go back a step and teach them how to cope and how to filter that before they react. Because I know I work out, so I see the little box cars all the time. They got like 2 people can fit in them. I think economy cars, like hybrids or whatever. Every time I see one, I want to flip it over. I want to see if I can. But my filter tells me to stop. When I'm in the mall and nobody's around, I can stand down and just flip it over. Because they're only about that big. Only 2 people can fit in it. But then I have a filter that tells me to stop. But I have this urge and this impulse just to see if I can do it. And I want to flip it over. But dumb me, I'd probably videotape it and go to jail because everything now we put on Instagram. I want somebody to see that I did it. But my filter tells me to stop, so I don't do that. Now, distracted mind of an ADHD kid. It's like somebody flipping a channel on a remote control nonstop. So if I'm with an ADHD student, they're sitting in the classroom, you tell them to focus on you, and maybe something that's really, they might even be interested in. You know they like cars, but hey, I'm getting ready to tell you about cars, but for some reason, no matter what you say, they're so distracted because their mind can't focus. So like somebody changing the channel. You think, hey, you might be into it before you know it. You change the channel again. Like my brother like that. He'll sit there and flip through channels all day long. And he'll never watch something. He'll never focus on one thing. And that's how it is for ADHD kids in the classroom. They're flipping through channels. Because why? They're sitting by the door, somebody walked by the door, there's a bee buzzing at the window, there's a janitor cutting the grass, so they're constantly distracted.
Wow.
Now, to use this is a text for an ADHD kid, for a student without ADHD. Now, listen as I read it and try to imagine somebody trying to comprehend it. Use of hand sanitizer has become increasingly popular in hospitals, schools, daycare centers, and even on the gangways of ships. They work well when soap and water are not available and are a quick way to disinfect one's hands. Now, this is a student who, not ADHD, but say mildly distracted, a little distracted, has a hard time focusing, same thing. A study conducted recently demonstrated the effects of using hand sanitizer with less than 60% alcohol content. Students had one hand covered in sanitizer with 60% alcohol, 50%, and then the other hand with less than 60% alcohol. Then each hand was placed in a kosher plate with germs. That's like kids who might have like a small learning disability. But sometimes kids, they don't understand the word, they repeat it twice to make sure they know what it says. So now imagine an ADHD student, same thing, and I'm trying to get the comprehension from it. The hand sanitizer will often stop it. You're bugging me, including among other ingredients, 6% more. What is she doing over there? Alcohol, sperm, look at that, or ethanol, other similar compound. If a hand, where's my pencil? Sanitizer contains less, shoot, I dropped it. Less than 6% of one of these ingredients. This is stupid, I quit. Now the effective in killing germs. Now, even as I read it, me trying to comprehend what I just read, I have no idea when I read it like 3 times because all those distractions in the middle made you not, so how happens the kid goes, hey, I don't know what I read. The teacher goes, didn't you just read it? He goes, yeah, but I still don't know what I read. Or if they lose their space, say if they lost their space here, and then, hey, where are we at? Then she gets frustrated. What do you mean where we're at? You know we're all reading together. How you're not keeping up? And they get upset. Now he's quit. So when a student is reading, it's not like they're not trying not to follow directions. They just have a hard time. Now I got this. Well, actually, I say The Rock got this from me. I use the word focus all the time. So when I see a kid distracted, I tell them to focus.
Focus. Focus.
girls all laugh and giggle because he smiled. He just smiles, everybody's laughing and giggling at that.
It's the rock. We were smiling before.
That's right. I don't know why they're laughing and giggling because
We have that filter, we have that filter.
that was
Sit on one level.
So ADHD students can focus. Have you ever noticed that they can focus on a video game? The reason why they can focus on a video game is because it's constantly changing. There's guns, there's shooting, they never know what's going to happen next. So the stimulus, that visual stimulus that need is being met because the screen's constantly changing. Now if you give them a first, I think it's called a first version play game where they're just walking by themselves and they're fighting. I have a friend, he plays the game, it's first person game, that's what it's called. It's in real time. So it takes him 30 minutes to walk to the next station. He has to hold the arrow key for 30 minutes while the guy's walking. I go, I don't have that kind of time. I don't know how you got it. So he'll sit there for 30 minutes watching the guy walk to the next station. But anyway, games like that, they can't focus on. But card games, fighting games, stuff like that, because the screen is constantly changing. Basketball, football, it's not the same screen. It's constantly feeding that visual stimulus because the screen's changing. Somebody comes around the corner unexpectedly, there's a gun go off unexpectedly, a football player come out of nowhere, maybe basketball. The screen's changing, so that visual stimuli is being met. ADHD students can focus on things that they're interested in. Like with them, you have to echo directions. So if you say the directions once and expect them to get it, they were distracted at the moment you said it, so they have no idea what you said. So what happens is you have to repeat yourself. You have to say directions right. Turn to page 32. All right, turn to page 32. You have to actually walk over to the desk, tap the desk, turn to page 32. Because that proximity will give them a positive distraction. Now they're distracted and they're focused on you, instead of you just verbally telling them stuff that they're not even paying attention to. Sticky note reminders, something too, right? Sticky notes on small short things like turn to page 32 or we're finishing in 5 minutes. Something to distract them, so if you see they're not focused, or if you just to let them know, hey, good job, we're almost done, just enough a positive distraction so they're focused on you. Verbal reminders like focus, like I said, focus, you can do it, good job, almost done. Almost done is keys, because if you stop at the last minute, they're gonna rush through whatever, oh, I didn't have enough time, so they're gonna try to finish it all at that moment. They see you clicking papers over there, they're gonna and they're over here, they can say, oh my God, they're just gonna give you any answers. So if you say, hey, we got 5 minutes left, or hey, we got 2 minutes left, or I got 1 minute left, I'll be collecting your papers in about 30 seconds. So give them a breakdown of time so they know, so they'll remind them to keep focused. Student may need distraction breaks. 30 seconds may seem like a short amount of time, but if you had to sit here for 30 seconds and not do nothing, it would seem like a long time. So if you give them a 30-second, hey, 30 seconds right on your feet. One of my teachers, she plays whatever dance is out. Like if the Nene's out, she'll play a video, have kids doing it, and they'll do that for 30 seconds. Just a break so they're not sitting still, just focusing on them. So for 30 seconds, you got a stretch break. Or so do a 30-second ab exercise where the kids are laid, do ab work or something like that. And a nonverbal signal, so it might be touching your nose. It might be if you move one thing from one side desk to the other side desk, but you have to know ahead of time, hey, this is our signal when you're not focused. I'm gonna take my keys and move them over here. Or I'm gonna take the eraser, I'm gonna flip it upside down. Something nonverbal between you and the student so that they know that, hey, they're not on task. Because sometimes kids get distracted, they start daydreaming. They don't realize they're not getting their work done. Physical stimulus is another part of ADHD that kids need, that they crave. That's why you see a lot of kids, they buffing the kid. They roughhouse, they wrestle, they fight, and they play basketball, which is not supposed to be a contact game, but they foul a lot because for them it's the physical stimulus. And spanking, because I have a dad, he's a single dad, he spanks his kid all the time. Every time he gets in trouble with ADHD. And he can't even, I'm tired of spanking this kid because every time I spank him, he does the same thing next day. Because for them it's a physical stimulus. It's not something they like, but they're still being stimulated physically by the spanking, and because kids have a short-term memory of what they do with ADHD, they forget, I didn't do anything wrong, why am I down here? I don't even know why she sent me down here. I don't know what her problem is. So the same thing with the kids, like I said, I tell dad, you should spank him all day long. And you'll be spanking him every time he does something because he'll forget 2 minutes later, and all you're doing is fulfilling the need. I have a craving for physical stimulus. So, so that spanking is filling the need, then he forgets about it. He may not enjoy it at the moment, but 5 minutes after you stop, he forgot he had a spanking, he forgot what it felt like, now he's on doing the same thing all over again. So then we kind of came to understanding With that, we try to find different ways to give them discipline. High risk for teen pregnancy in early age promiscuity. Why? Because same thing, that physical stimulus. They need to be, so hugging, physical, kissing, all that stuff is another physical need that's being met. So if it's not being met positively, it ends up coming another way. Hugging, parent massages. I say parent because I don't want us walking around massaging kids. But so parents, I tell parents all the time, hey, massage your kid at night. Hey, rub their shoulders, rub their arm. If you sit next to him, leg, squeeze his leg, rub his leg. Give him that physical stimulus at night. So this way, he's getting a need. One of his needs is being met because kids need ADHD. They constantly need to be stimulated. Organized physical sports like football or karate, something like that. When it's not ADHD. When the school dismissal son's ADHD, call aside a face-to-face meeting would help. Because some parents, they're gonna up and fight you tooth and nail to say my kid has ADHD. When I worked as a therapist, I had a family of three kids. One kid was truly ADHD, and I met with the mom said the other two are. The reason why mom said the other two are because she went to SSI, got checked for 690, and said, well, the other two are too. I said, I'm sorry, ma'am, I met with your kids, no, they're not. So she shopped around since she got the diagnosis. Now she gets $2,100 a month because her 3 kids have ADHD, because she got diagnosed. But when it's not ADHD, like I said, no, we don't diagnose, but that was just a history, but when it's not ADHD, things it could be. Students not used to structure. Immature students. There's students who are immature socially and emotionally. So some kids are socially immature, not used to being around a big social setting, so they may do things that are acting mature that may seem like ADHD. Same thing with emotional. Kids being kids. Some people get ADHD confused with regular child development. Some kids just have short attention span. Some kids just don't like sitting still. It's not automatically ADHD. Students with learning disabilities. So if I have a hard time keeping up in class, and it's not that I'm not paying attention, I might have a learning disability where I can't read as fast as you read, and so you're ahead of me, so the teacher thinks, well, he doesn't pay attention, he's not focused, so he must have ADHD. A sudden life change, like divorce or death in the family. So beginning of school year, somebody has a divorce and you don't know, then the whole school year they're not paying attention, they're not focused, the grades are dropping, then everybody thinks, oh, they might have, it sounds like they have ADHD because she can't focus, she's fidgeting all the time, she's moving around, she's not thinking. She could be thinking about the divorce, the death of the family, something could happen, so sometimes it's good to investigate and find out that anything changed at home first, which I'm sure most will probably do already. Medical conditions, lack of sleep. So if I come to work tired, it's gonna be hard for me to focus. We had a kid who used to wake up at 5 o'clock every morning, the mom would drop him for grandma's house, but then he would go to bed 11, 12 o'clock at night. So when he comes to school, he couldn't focus, he was irritable, he was grouchy, he'd get angry, he'd get restless, so he'd impulsive. So they were thinking he had ADHD, but really come to find out, he's only sleeping 4 hours a night. So what happens, if you sleep 4 hours a night, you're gonna be irritable, you're not gonna focus, you're not gonna pay attention, your grades are gonna drop, then every time somebody does something to you, you're gonna snap. So they would think, oh, he's impulsive. No, he's just grouchy because he's not sleeping. Students with inconsistent parenting, spoiled kids' behaviors, quote unquote spoiled, but parents, yeah, so parents are inconsistent with it, where they discipline at home and how they raise their kids at home. We had one girl, like I said before, whose mom just thought she was horrible, but it was just inconsistent parenting. Or sometimes they go, well, he has ADHD because they might not want to be a parent and be structured, because sometimes being a parent is stressful. But you have to be consistent, so it takes something away from you to be consistent with them, but at the same time, that's how we avoid the diagnosis, misdiagnosing kids. Now back to emotional and social maturity. Same thing, children with emotional maturity overreact. Child may throw a tantrum every time when busy attending someone else. Social maturity, social settings trigger different behaviors in children. A child may be uncomfortable, may be withdrawn, become loud and hyperactive to attract attention. Kids being kids have short attention spans. And the range attention span, they say, is if you multiply by 3 to 5 minutes by chronological age. So I don't know, I think it's a little less. So if a kid's 10, they say he has about 30 minutes of attention span. 30 to 50 minutes. So if you keep going up by age, if they're 11, the same thing, 33. So they said that's how you found out the range. Some kids, I think some kids might be shorter than that, though. Now, we create the society, I don't know if it's society reacting to us or us reacting to society, but we're creating shorter attention spans. If you think an average music video that you watch on YouTube is 4 to 5 minutes, The average in-depth video where somebody's doing a prank or something silly is about 2 to 3 minutes. Instagram videos are 15 to 16 seconds. Snapchat videos are 10 seconds. Vine videos are 6 seconds. Twitter's 140 words. You see people getting in fights over 140 words. Emails are short unless someone's upset. If someone's upset, they can write your whole page. Otherwise, it's like 1 or 2 lines. Like you buy music in singles. Before, you growing up, you have to buy a whole album, listen to the whole album, and after that, you might like 3 or 4 songs. But now you can just buy the singles because they know people aren't going to sit there and listen to a whole album. Faster processing in PC, phones, and tablets. So we always want everything faster. I know because I went to the movies the other day and I saw, I think, Born Identity. Then I saw Star Trek. And in both of those movies, the action started right off the bat. Why? Because they know people aren't sitting long to wait 30 minutes for a movie to develop to find out the plot. They want acting. They said people short attention spans, but to me it was almost negative because it happened so fast that I had no idea what was going on in the movie because it was action right off the bat. They didn't develop it, so they figured now, as a report in Hollywood, that they know people aren't sitting through and trying to wait for you to develop a storyline and develop the characters and stuff like that. They want something happening right now, so they're making movies now with the action, everything's happening right as soon as you sit down. The movie comes on, boom, they're into a car chase or a fight scene to get the movie going. Like I said, I don't know if that's them reacting to us or us having to react to Hollywood, but they're changing everything. Like I said, in Instagram, if Instagram videos are 5 minutes, who would watch it? Nobody, because it's too long. So happen, you got 15 seconds to make me laugh. Or Vine, you got 6 seconds, I want to laugh, and they do it. People make the lifestyle changes off of Vine. They get popular, and now they're living off of that. But think about it, in 6 seconds, they learn to make people laugh, amaze people to do something silly. I mean, 15 seconds on Instagram, you could see a whole commercial. I used to think, what can you do with 6 seconds? What can you do with 15 seconds? But then you watch it, and they do it. Like I said, if it was longer than that, we flip through it. That same way with smartphones, that's created ADHD within us too, or inattentive. Because what happens is you scroll through timelines. You don't sit and read somebody's whole timeline. You want different timelines all the time. So when you're scrolling down, even for kids with ADHD, that's giving a fixation for them because now I don't have to read somebody's entire timeline. Like I won't click on your page and read your whole page because that's just too much. I get different variants. I have I have variations, different people's pages, different things going on. Same thing with Instagram and Snapchat. It's all different pages, so I'm not sitting through it. Now, Snapchat got it so that before you had to click on each person's storyline to watch it one at a time. Now you just click on one person's storyline and it'll run through everybody on your Snapchat, so you don't have to keep clicking. So that's how lazy we say lazy, but that's how of our attention span it got because I don't have to click through. Now I can just watch everybody's timeline with one click. So I'm saying so it's creating short attention spans for everybody because now we're not used to sitting through some long period of time, so now it's hard. I know for me, like I get like that with meetings because I don't know, maybe it's just like everybody, but I can't sit through a long meeting. I get frustrated. I just want to get through it real quick and get out. Classroom strategies. Make physical contact. With ADHD kids, I said that will feed that need for physical stimulus. Touch the arm, the shoulder, the head. When you give an instruction, that'll break their attention and put it back on you. So sometimes when I'm giving instructions, you want them to listen. If you talk from back here and say, hey, these are the instructions, turn to page 32 and get your pencils out, that's a 50-50 chance they'll get it. But if you walk up to them and you're touching them on the head or the shoulder, hey, listen, I need you to turn to page 32, you're talking to a class, they'll get it. Being more animated, that's hard if you're not. If teachers that are animated and real theatrical, ADHD kids have an easier time learning. Because why? Because they never know what they're going to do next. Because they're so flamboyant, they're really loud, they're real boisterous. So for them, that's grabbing their attention. For somebody who's monotone, that's hard for them to focus because there's no entertainment. Schedule difficult activities in the morning. The reason why I suggest that is by the afternoon, they're on level 10. When they first come in the morning, they haven't had that much contact with everybody. They haven't had lunch, they haven't talked, they haven't joked with everybody yet. They're on the verge of building up. It's like crescendoing up. But after lunch, I'm on level 10, I'm hyped, I'm loud, you can't teach me nothing. I don't even like reading. You want me to learn that now? Forget that. But if you catch me in the morning, I don't like reading, but I haven't been stimulated enough, so I can focus a little better in the morning. So in the mornings, I can focus and I'll sit down and I'll listen to you. But after lunch and having conversation with people, and people talking to me, and people telling me jokes, and something funny happened, now my mind's distracted. Now I'm focused, I'm thinking about someone's day. So usually, so if you have a kid and they're struggling in reading or math, and you try to teach them at the end of the day, a lot of times with kids with ADHD, it's hard for them to focus because now they have all this contact throughout the day that they're focusing on, they're remembering past conversations or stuff they're thinking about. So if you catch them in the morning before they had that much conversation and interaction with people, you'll have a better chance of them picking it up. This goes back with break work into chunks. Like that's stuff I do with the 504. If there's 20 questions, I have them do this to odd numbers, or just do the even numbers. If there's 20 questions, you got 1 through 10. If there's a big passage, and just read the first 2 paragraphs. Because if you give a kid 20 questions and he looks at it, he's already zoned out because that's too much. Some kids know I can't focus that long. That's 20 questions. And it might be easy, but for them, they just see 20 questions that's gonna take forever. That one kid, he was good at math. There was 20 multiplication questions, and it was easy stuff, like 2 times 2. But then he thought, that's 20, I can't do it, it's too much. So I said, just do the odd numbers. He did the odd numbers, they didn't finish the whole sheet because he realized it was easy. But in the beginning, he zoned out. Same thing we had our rights test coming up. And he saw he had all the passages he had to read. And I told him to try to focus at 2 at a time and break it down, because they zone out as soon as they realize they have a lot to do. Because they figure they know they can't focus that long and they know they get distracted. The brain breaks, like I said earlier, foot tappers. What I do with foot tappers, I put workout bands under the desk, around the desk, so it sticks to the desk. You tie it around like in a circle so they can bounce their foot on it. This way, that's a distraction for them, but they can focus at the same time. But people have to tap their toe or tap their pencil, find something they can do that doesn't make any noise. Like I said, that was one of the things that one teachers came up with. Yes?
So I have a question. We have a lot of kids who are not diagnosed with ADD or ADHD, but they are not sitting still. And I feel like, I mean, even sometimes I have that. Like, I don't like sitting at a desk for hours listening. But if I'm doing something like writing notes or doing something, my body is like busy. So is it possible that we can use,
Yeah, I have kids who aren't diagnosed with ADHD,
right,
but I treat them like that, and I give them the same coping
busy.
mechanisms I would do for somebody else, I would do for them. So if it works for them, then I diagnose. There's nothing wrong with putting something on the desk. Or I said, one of the people give the kid a bouncy ball to sit on the desk. So there's nothing wrong with
it
giving
doesn't
them.
mean that they have it.
No.
So if we use these implementations, it's not giving off like the label that they have it.
No, it's just another combination to try to help the student.
Velcro too, and the Velcro,
Velcro?
in the desk.
Under the desk, okay.
Yes, and then you can rub it too, and kind of.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard that before too, yeah. Velcro?
I'm sorry, I'm from Cuba, like if I'm.
No, you said it right.
I have an accent.
No, you said Velcro.
It's hard for
Like the
me.
Velcro, like the stuff that you find on sneakers, people Velcro is
Yeah,
really fun.
exactly that, and you can just rub it.
Now, seating is important too, because avoid windows, doorways, other distractible students. Like, if you put a kid by a window, every time somebody walks by, who's that? Every time somebody comes through, what are they doing? If it's one by the doorway, you see somebody cutting the grass, a car driving by, I wonder where they're going, wonder what kind of car that is, I wonder how many people in the car, so anything that distracts them outside, you can send them away from a window, away from other kids that are gonna talk and distract them too. That'll help them out. Remove unnecessary work items from areas. So if they're not using a pencil or an eraser, they have to take from the desk. That just becomes something else that's gonna distract them from what they're doing. What we do is secure a mouse pad to the desk, so this way they can tap their pencil. So somebody who likes to tap, a mouse pad will dull that sound so they can tap their pencil without driving the teacher crazy. I did that, but the teacher was like, oh, it's too loud, too difficult. She goes, it's too loud. So then I gave him 2 pipe cleaners, and I had him twist the pipe cleaners around it, and I twisted them together, so now to make them a little more firm, so now he can manipulate it, and he can swing it, but she goes, that was too loud too. So then this way, a pipe cleaner is something they can work with. Now, kids with ADHD, like I said, they want to listen, they want to pay attention, but they get distracted. Like I said, the distractions for them, like you can disregard somebody popping gum in the back of the classroom. You can disregard somebody tapping their foot. You can disregard somebody coughing. But somebody with ADHD, it's like their senses are like like their senses are like on level 10. I'm trying to get to it.
that damn watch. Girl, we know you got money. Put that damn diamond away. And hey, British guy, if you're gonna live in this country, you better go see a damn dentist about that stink ass breath. Now please, I'm trying to take a test here. This is my future.
Mr. Witherspoon, sit down. One more outburst from you, and you are out of my classroom.
I'm sorry, Professor. That was my Tourette syndrome.
And that's how the kid is like that. What happened? He has an out. Somebody's tapping their pencil. He stands up, screams, "Stop tapping your pencil!" Then what happens? The teacher gets frustrated, kicks him out. He goes, "I'm down. Why am I down here?" Because he was tapping the pencil. Same thing with the kid that had a TV fell in his face. He was screaming at the kid because they yelling at breath smell. Your breath smells. He says it real loud. He get kicked out. He goes, "Why am I down here because her breath smell? That's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. The teacher's stupid. She don't like me." So like I said, with kids with ADHD, they're impulsive, but they said their senses. They almost say they were heightened because everything that they hear or see is a distraction for them. Now, negative attention is still attention. Do not become argumentative with ADHD kids because they'll argue with you all day long. Why? Because it's a stimulus. Because you're upset, so I'm arguing back and forth. I'm upset, and then you're going back and forth, and you're stimulating a need for me because I need some stimulus, and you're giving it to me. So the more you argue with them, the more they'll keep going back and forth. So you have to realize if I'm getting arguing with you and I'm gonna keep going back, I have to stop. You get something?
Is this something that, like, you can, have you ever presented like this to the like the principals?
No,
so they can take it?
no.
Cause it's just necessary for them to take it back to their teachers.
Mhm.
You know, like, we're just one entity.
But I know, yeah,
And
but that's why it's hard to
they
put
only
something
listen
together.
to us but so much because they're more prone to even receive this from the psychologist.
Yeah.
But I think all of the principals need to take this back
And learn
and
use it.
train their staff or allow you to come
Yeah,
in or
because I haven't-
stop pay you to come to my school. We got 32 new people who need to understand the kid before they send them down to us.
Yeah, because I have a teacher like that. And hey, listen, I learned something new about kids with ADHD today because she called me down to pick up a kid and said, "Hey, there's a kid he's acting up." I said, "Yeah, I learned something new about ADHD." She goes, "Good, you can teach it to him when you're working out your office." And she didn't want to hear it. She just wanted him out of the classroom. I said, "Do not have long lectures because after about 2 or 3 minutes, you become Charlie Brown teacher." All they hear is, so the more you talk to them, the more they're gonna zone out. Especially when they stop talking to you, you know they're zoned out. Now, do not wait to address behavior. Like I said, give them a few minutes to calm down and chill out. But then, if you wait too long, they disconnect from it. So if you wait to the end of the afternoon to talk to them about something that happened in the morning, that's gonna be a disconnection. If you wait at something happened at lunch, and after an hour later you're trying to address with them, they're like, "What are you talking about? I didn't do anything wrong. What are you messing with me for?" They go, "I don't remember." So happens a disconnect. So give them a chill out moment. So you're not arguing with them, but then you gotta address it within a short time frame. Otherwise, they're gonna focus. Like I said, for spanking. It's like hitting a reset button. So I tell the parents all the time, you spank this kid for doing that, it's reset. That now it didn't happen anymore because I got punished for it. Now I'm free to do it again. Because what happens is they disconnect. Once the spankings come, I got consequence for what I just did, so it's a disconnect. So then I just reset, and then it's back doing it all over again. Like I said, I don't know what time it is. I talk fast, but am I good? See, last time I finished like 2:30. Now, in closing, the same way you would teach a diabetic student how to manage the diabetes, you got to teach your ADHD how to manage the ADHD. I have classes where I do just for ADHD, and we talk about the diagnosis, and we talk about what ADHD is, we talk about how to cope with it, because you would, if you had a cancer kid, if you had kids with cancer, you would teach them how to live with their cancer. Same thing, I teach them how to live with their ADHD. So like I said, when I'm with them, I don't go, "Hey, did you take your vitamins today?" I ask them, "Did you take your meds today?" And they'll tell me yes or no, and they say no. What happens is I let them know, if you didn't take your meds, it's not a free day. Because they're thinking, "Hey, I didn't take my meds today, so whatever I do is wrong. It's not my fault." So I have to check them first thing in the morning. And you didn't take your meds today, but the meds only helps control your impulsiveness. The behavior and the choices you make, you have to own those. Because I have some kids who think it's a free day. My mom forgot to give me my meds, so whatever, it's not my fault for my behavior. So they decide they're gonna wild out. But you have to let them know, listen, you have ADHD. You didn't take your meds today, so now you have to find another way to cope. Because what you do, if you can't pay attention and follow directions, that's something that's different. But if you act out or your behavior is you yelled at a teacher or you did something wrong, you put somebody, that's a behavior you have to own. So I try to have a disconnect from the meds, so this way they can't say it's a free day because I'm on my meds or I can't behave. I tell them, you go in front of that judge, he's not gonna ask you, did you take your meds before robbed the store, you beat this guy up, or you slammed your car into somebody because you got road rage. I said, so there has to be disconnect from the med. So if they don't have it, like I said, same thing, I teach them, I have classes. This is what your ADHD is, this is what happens, this is what it looks like, and this is how you're gonna have to monitor it the rest of your life. So the same way you would do with diabetes or with cancer, that's the same way I talk to parents. Cause like I said, I don't push meds, but if a kid really needs them, and I tell the parents the same way, if a kid had cancer, what would you do? You give them all the treatments optional. If there was a medication out there, if there was a treatment, you would make it happen. ADHD is the same thing. It's an issue your kid has to live with. It's something that, so if there's something available that can help them, then I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I would explore all my options to make sure I can help the student. If they can function without them, great, fantastic. But some kids might need it. You just clear timings. When you're closing, say, hey, we're almost, like I said before, I told you before, hey, we're almost done. We got 10 minutes, we got 5 minutes. Give them a countdown so they're not rushing at the last minute. Visual reminders for classroom behavior, have them written on the wall, because if you just give them all 10 classroom behaviors at the beginning of the year, they're going to forget them all. They remember like one. They go, well, didn't I go over this when I went over the classroom behaviors and the rules? They're like, I don't know. I didn't hear you say that. You never told me. Provide a chill out section. That's my office is sometimes the kid, I see the teacher frustrated, the kid frustrated, I give them about a 2-minute chill out section in my office. This way they have a moment to calm down and relax. I get a chance to talk to them about the issues, about ADHD. A lot of times they come down there, I don't know why I'm down here. She's sitting on the classroom, I don't know what I did wrong. I don't know why I'm down here. So when you're out of your seat, yeah, I was out of my seat. When you're yelling across the classroom, yeah, I was yelling across the classroom. I go, well, that's why you're down here. And then some kid, one kid, he's just loud. He's loud all the time. Who got a pencil? I need a pencil. Let me borrow a pencil. The teacher gets frustrated. Stop yelling. I'm not yelling. I'm asking for a pencil. So then she says about the classroom. Why you down here? I don't know. I was trying to get a pencil and she told me out the classroom. And this is his level all day. What happens when he don't take his meds? He goes, my mom needs my meds in the morning. But mom's like really consistent. So what happens when he comes in? He's just loud from Jump Street. So then she doesn't like that. And it gets on her nerves. So sometimes they're not a good fit. So with him, I have to tell him, listen, you have ADHD. So you're really loud. You don't realize you're loud, but you're loud. So every time you talk, you're at level 10. So if you hear the teacher tell you stop yelling, don't talk loud back. Realize, okay, if she's telling me to stop yelling, I must be yelling. He goes, I'm not yelling. I'm just talking to her. I don't know what she's talking about. You keep telling me I'm yelling, and I'm down here every day because I'm yelling, and I'm just trying to have a conversation. She don't like me. So I'm saying, listen, if somebody tells you yelling, you know what your ADHD, you're yelling. So you got to take it down a level. If she tells you yelling, stop, think, and try to lower your tone. Try to focus. If she tells you you're yelling, then that must be yelling. So I had to work with her and come up with a way to let her know that he's talking loud without her engaging him in a combative argument and yelling at him because he didn't get it. Like I said, they have a short disconnect button. So it's like, so as soon as you tell them they're doing something, they don't realize they're doing it. So unless you have a conversation ahead of time, let them know, hey, listen, when you're loud, I'm gonna let you know by doing this, by doing X, Y, Z, so they'll know. Otherwise, in the moment, they're impulsive, so they're gonna combat you. So, like I said, if he's not on meds, give him a chill out section. I mean, either meds or not, I'm sorry, give him a chill out section so they can give the teacher a break, give you a break, so maybe you can come up with a plan and get them back in the classroom. I think get them back in the classroom. Otherwise, they can get conditioned to being out and be in your office. Well, I can't do my work down here with you. I said, because I got something to do too, so I can send you back. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious about the class that you run. Is it kind of like a long-term thing or just?
Like we meet like once a week, once a week, and I have like the kids with ADHD, especially the kids that are really severe. And so I meet with them once a week, and then we sit down. We talk about why we're there, and we talk about ADHD, and we talk about some of the problems they may have had during the day, or problems they may have at home that affect the diagnosis and how they can cope with it. So like once a week, especially with my most severe kids, I try to meet with them. The kids who I know who can manage it, I just kind of pop in and check on them. But the kids I know who have constant problems, who constantly getting sent out, so those are kids I end up meeting with. So I end up starting like in September, once I get a feel for the kids from last year and the new kids that's coming in.
So that you help them understand what the diagnosis means.
Well, the diagnosis is, yeah, I'm on front list if you have ADHD. I explain it to them the same way, because I try to think, if my kid had cancer, would I not tell them all things, if they had diabetes, would I tell them all the foods they can and can't eat? Would I tell them all the risks and all the ways? And so same thing ADHD, I figure it's my job to try and walk them through it so they know what they got. Because they just hear people tell them they have it, and they don't tell them how to cope, how to deal with it. And this way, if they can self-regulate, that's the key to self-regulate, so they can realize they're doing something.
ADD, is that?
Oh, that was a previous term they used to use for it, attention deficit disorder. but then they changed it, went to ADHD, and they added the types, ADHD with inattentive, or ADHD with hyperactivity and impulsivity.
So
before.
your strategies don't apply to the one without hyper, or tell me the
It applies to both. Yeah, because hyperactivity is the kid, is the kids who are hyper also.
Right.
The inattentive part, the ADD with intent, the kids who just can't pay attention. So I mean, it applies to both, but most of the kids that you find are the severest ones are the ones with the hyperactivity in it. But same thing, 'cause I know I had a lady here earlier, her daughter was ADHD with inattentive, like she wasn't hyper. What happened, the teacher would draw like a circle on, I think she failed one of her tests because the teacher drew a circle on the board, and she walked away from it and started talking, and the girl just started imagining the circle turning into a bunch of flowers, then rosebuds, and of course she knew it, there were vines going on the wall, and then she missed the whole block of instructions on the test, and she had failed the test. And she told me, she said, too, that one of the girls taking the SAT, and then the guy behind her was coughing, the one of the guys who gave the test was coughing, and he was making a nasty phlegm noise, and then she started imagining all the different diseases he might have, and you know, she said, Mom, I just bombed the SAT. She goes, why? She goes, the guy had a cough and he had this phlegm, and I started focusing on what he was doing, and I started thinking of all the different things he could have, or what it could be, and then finally what the test was over. So that's the inattentive part. So like I said, so that's so teaching them how to cope with the different things. But hyperactivity is usually the biggest part that's in the classroom. I said that's the intensive part's hard because you don't know the kid's not doing it. Because she goes, I was staring right at the teacher because the circle was right behind her, the teacher. So she was staring right at the teacher, but looking right past her at the circle, and just imagine it turning into rosebuds and flowers and all over the room and stuff like that. And before she knew it, the instructor was over. Anything else?
What level do you counsel in? High school, middle school?
I'll do elementary actually.
You are?
I mean, before I came in from New York, I worked mostly with high school kids and adults.
So you do this with the younger kids too?
Yeah. I started with the high school kids when I was in New York, but then I started. And for me, teaching elementary was hard because I was used to teaching like adults and high school kids when I was in New York. So to come over here, it was a hard adjustment when trying to get used to little kids. So I had to find a way not to quote unquote dumb it down and try to make so I could teach the younger kids, but I do with the elementary kids.
What school are you?
At Dunbar Elementary Magnet School by Blake.
What's the youngest that you actually teach? You teach the primary level or?
Yeah, I usually do 3rd through 5th, the intermediate I do this with the primary kids I try to do it a little differently, but usually 3rd through 5th grade. Because those are the kids that have the most understanding, they can understand it the most.
Can you send that to us, please?
Yeah, I don't know how I would do that, but I'll put my name up so you could. To Philip? Okay, then I'll send it to him then. Okay, then I'll do that, yeah, I'll do that tomorrow.
And share a plan as well.
Oh, okay, yes, right, yeah, you're right, yes, sure.
And are you seeing clients, do you have your own private practice now?
Now, I don't have a private practice now, I was doing New York, but now I just started this summer, so I just started opening back this summer, so I started seeing, I'm doing couples right now. So I don't
So
cover
not
them.
ADHD kids?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Because with school and with, I coach football, I don't wanna make a commitment to something I can't really follow through, so with kids, especially with kids, that's me more of a long terms with the couple counseling, I can kinda spot check that, and that's usually, it doesn't run as long term as dealing with a child might be.
Surprised that you must have said that at the beginning that you do.
Yeah, and, yeah, when I was doing, I was a private practice in New York, I was doing family therapy, and couple, stuff like that.
You don't do that now, then you're just.
Well, I just started back in summer doing couple counseling.
So you do school counseling and?
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, thank you guys.
Thank you. All the tissues that you have. You have, oh, you left yourself.
Hallelujah. Oh, like you're just starting. Oh, how crazy. Are you saw my name? Oh, it's still there? Yeah.
His schedule yesterday.
Yeah, he said, I guess if I keep going.
Oh, right.
Safe drive.
Yeah, it was only for the half year to the end.
I
It
have a
was
great
temporary
student.
position.
Yeah.
Now I'm at James, I know. You come in half year temporary. I was out for a minute. Yeah. Wow. Your name was? Last name? Kara, as in C? You coach.
Yeah.
Okay, say it again. Yeah. So now you're there.
What part of New York are you from?
Grew up in the city. I've been looking for a while, but I'm with my parents. My family's on Long Island right now. Yes. Then I was in the military. I was in
From the Bronx.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I'm the one that went woo-hoo.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, my uncle, he lived, that's where he grew up in Bronx. What's a major city in the Bronx? I forgot, I can't think of it my tongue right now.
Well, I mean, there's the South Bronx, there's different parts of the Bronx.
No, I can't remember. I know, because I see it all the time when I'm on the BQE. Not BQE, but, what's it called? There's a sign, I know everybody, if I say it, you'll know, but I don't know why I can't remember.
Okay, yeah, I can't think of it either, but, there's, in the BQE. that's
Not
like-
BQE.
The George Washington? No,
George
the
Washington.
George Washington Bridge goes to Long Island, not Long Island, Jersey.
Jersey.
Okay.
It must be off the LIE, then. Maybe it's off the LIE, I can't remember, yeah.
Oh, maybe Whitestone, the
What?
Whitestone.
Yeah, that's it, yeah,
Whitestone.
that's
Oh,
it.
there you go, yeah, I
Yeah.
was close to the Whitestone. Thank you, that was really
Yeah.
good, I mean,
Yeah.
Excellent.
and it was just like almost, I mean, you hit on how they sound, the kids sound.
I'm like, if I could just teach the faculty, just give them before they start.
Yeah.
Well, my
I'm-
son has
I'm
ADHD,
willing to
so I
come
understand
out.
him better now.
There you go,
You know, and I
yeah.
feel so bad.
Yeah, it took me a while to try and get to understand it, but yeah,
Yeah.
once you see where they're coming from, you understand that sometimes
Their
it's
world,
not.
it's a whole different
Yeah.
world he just painted.
Yeah, that's a whole different world.
Because I already had diagnosed my boyfriend, but he's in it now.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway.
I can sign into the other.
I don't think it has signed in.
The one that we want with the literature?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a clue. I couldn't even, write number 504s.
Yeah.
With what you're saying, now it makes sense in terms of what I can put in with the chunking of the text,
Yeah.
proximity control.
So, yeah.
I mean, dude, you should be like presenting to the principals.
Yeah, I never
I'm
thought
not
about
even-
that, yeah.
No,
Email
man.
Philip, tell him about it, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
and we don't even really know him.
I
Like,
haven't met
if
him
it
yet,
was,
I don't even know who he is, yeah.
What? You missed that this morning? But I wanted to find out if you could possibly send it to me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my school email here and my personal email, either
I got
one.
him, okay.
And,
Yeah.
cause I would talk to my principal
Mhm.
to see if you can come out. Dude,
Yeah.
I'd be willing to pay you to come out. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, that's a great, you do that?
I'm at James Elementary.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it would be from me, but if you could send it.
No,
to me,
I'll send it to you, yeah, no, but if you ever wanted me to come out, I would definitely do it, man, cause, yeah, I definitely, I mean, if anything that'll help kids, I'll definitely do it,
Yeah, it was really good. So you're just moving here?
No, I've
You've
been here
in
10
the- Oh,
10
you've
years.
been here, okay,
10
okay, I
years.
thought it was just 10 years experience.
No, not really 10 years, yeah, I was
I
doing
see you
private
at
company.
Wharton High School up there.
Yeah,
I
so
used to, like an intern, more like an, I substituted there alongside with the language arts teacher when I
Oh, yeah?
first came from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was out there, because my daughter was at Plant and I think his kid was at somewhere else. They always rivaled.
Oh,
Plant
okay,
High
okay.
School and Wharton.
Yeah,
It was on, she played volleyball, so it was always a competition between Wharton and Plant for everything. And probably still is.
Yeah. Yeah,